Glad to have you back. Now we go straight into that topic, and I have my guest joining me right here in the studio. Kingsley Eze is the co-founder and CEO of Nairaxi. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's start. Are you worried about the delay in CNG conversion? Now, someone that is into transport business.
I'm currently, I won't say I'm worried, but obviously, if you're part of the industry, you would want a faster pace of adoption. Because as we all know, when you have an alternative project or product you want to sell, you are looking at 4 key things. Availability. Nigeria has enough CNG or gas reserves, over 6 trillion cubic meters of gas. So we have it. It's an abundant resource that we can leverage to push for energy independence. Secondly, you are looking at affordability. CNG is relatively cheap. For a liter of fuel is around 1,100, depending on where you buy it from. But currently, you can get the same equivalent at 230 to 250. So most motorists will tell you that this particular change after their conversion splits or cut their energy bill by over 70%. So just imagine you saving 70%. You are spending 100,000. Now you are spending 30,000. That's a lot of savings. So the next thing you really need to worry about is acceptability by the end user, which is the public, which is what I feel that we are really struggling with because of, as a Nigerian, just imagine our connotation to gas. We see gas as something that explodes. We see gas as something that causes fire. We see gas as something that can choke. So it's now left for us to work on, the right sensitization, all right, to let people know that this is actually safe. Because CNG by itself, even if there is an explosion, it has to come up, it floats above air because it is lighter than air. So but the next thing again that can help is also making sure that the people making this conversion, which is the engineers, they are also adequately trained. Because even though something is safe, if you don't do it properly, that is where you have issues with hazard.
Safety concern.
Safety concern. So this hesitation is what is actually delaying the adoption of CNG at the moment. So like you asked rightfully, if we are comfortable with the pace, we can do better. That's the analogy here.
What about the cost implication? They've been concerned about the cost implication.
The next thing is about cost, but there's always a trade-off. We all know that you can trek with your leg, but your car offers you something. So you shell out money to be able to acquire that. Our government has kick-started the presidential CNG initiative, which obviously they are targeting motorists, they are targeting transporters, and they're also making sure that you can have access to affordable conversion kits at a discounted rate. So if you are getting this benefit, or if you know what you're going to save, I'm spending 1 million on fuel in a month and I'm going to save 700,000. So that shows you that even if you spend 1.5 million to convert your vehicle, in 2 months you've broken even, all right? And the savings throughout the year is going to be like an additional revenue for you as a transporter, as a car owner. So if you take this into cognizance, you just know that it's a question of communicating the real value, so that when people are making that investment, they don't really feel the impact.
The impact, indeed. Another issue again that some motorists have raised is the issue of points of conversion. Where are the locations? Where can they convert their vehicles? A lot of them, they say government has not really been big on that public enlightenment.
I think where the government is getting it wrong is relying so much on, having control of the entire system, which is government is, importing the kits, government is assigning the conversion centers and the rest of it. I feel like it's time for government to really open things up, because while we're having
private investors,
private investors, because while we are getting petrol at a cheap price, is I know that if I buy 33,000 liters of petrol, I do my math, I pay my transport, I sell to, let's say, 2,000 cars in 2 weeks, and I'll have this. So that's why you see proliferation of petrol stations everywhere. So the same thing should be applied to CNG, all right? I know we have a lot of regulatory hurdles to scale through, but let there be a framework for independent private investors to launch their own CNG stations. And the math should make sense. Even though the investors are wary about acceptability, government can now come in to show up that demand. Do you understand? So in some countries, you see them, oh, you open up this CNG station, there will be tax breaks. Okay, we are going to offtake, let's say, your first 2 months supply of CNG. Do you understand? Which you can do that by also making sure that the public transport infrastructure is taken care of. You make sure that, okay, buses that run in Abuja, for example, they are all running on CNG. So you can say, okay, once you have this in Kubwa, if you have a station there, all the buses flying through that Kubwa route will be buying. We guarantee you of that particular sale. That's an incentive for someone to create a station at Kubwa. So the examples are numerous, but so it's something that the committee has to sit down and draw up a plan. How do we incentivize? So an investor is all about, if I put in 10,000, can I make 15,000? So if you take care of that extra 5,000, the 10,000 is going to come in.
Indeed, that's a brilliant summation there, Mr. Eze. Let's also look at your members. You as a transport, somebody that's into transport business. You work with a lot of people. Yeah. So tell us, how easy has it been for them to adopt to adopt the CNG option, or what are the ratio of those that have been able to convert their vehicles now to CNG?
Currently, you would conservative estimate, we can just say less than 5%. Because number one is the kits are not enough, right? And even access to the kits, there should be like a proper framework to certify that you've gotten the kits. Did you buy from government? Did you get an incentive? Is there a way we can track how many people have received this? What are the criteria? Apart from the NURTW and other key unions, how can someone, independent of belonging to any association, so far you are a motorist, how can I have access to this kit? So that is the framework that is lacking right now. So even some of our members they would want to convert their cars, they have the money and they want to get the discount. There is no clear-cut application process. All right, even if it is in existence, it's not well publicized for people to say, okay, I'm coming here, I'll go into the website, I log in, I make my application. There's a certain wait time, even if it is 1 month, 2 months, but I'm sure I'm going to be called upon to receive a kit. I make this payment and I have that conversion done. So that is what is lacking. So 5% is a conservative number for the number of people that have converted.
Indeed, that is still quite very, very low. What framework do you think government should adopt? I mean, both government at the federal and, of course, at the state level.
And like I said before, it's first of all is a clear-cut policy approach, something that is very transparent. Transparency will, play a long role in making sure that you drive this adoption. Also, qualified personnel that can do this, private investors that can come in. Like I mentioned before, even on the conversion part, private investors can ship in independently. You give them, your regulatory instruction. Okay, the cylinder has to meet up with this specification. You buy kits from this particular supplier because we trust them. So these can be your instructions to whoever is going to invest in that business. But make sure that you capture their own interest, which is they are shelling out capital. Because right now the policy is that you need $200 million to be able to push this. That's a lot of money. Absolutely. So government can say, okay, if you invest $200 million, we can take 50% of that off your shoulder. Not like a grant, but in terms of stimulating demand for it. And how do you stimulate demand? Demand what every Nigerian needs right now is affordable transportation, public transportation. So make sure as they are investing in kits, investing in stations, you're also incentivizing state governments to invest in public transit systems,
Absolutely.
CNG powered buses. Also, you can also apply the same principle in the acquisition of those buses. So it becomes like the whole government is trying to have a policy around incentivizing different parts. So government will not have to share, because one CNG bus, according to Innocent, is around 300 million naira. So even if you have 3 billion, we are just getting just less than 10 buses. So how many state governors can say, okay, I'm going to shell out 60 billion naira to have like 20 buses?
Absolutely.
So it is a lot of money. So, but in that case, you can say, okay, whoever you are, if you have 300 million naira, you can bring that bus into the government regulated transport system. And every day, for every passenger you carry, there is a certain amount that accrues to you. In 3 years, you are guaranteed to make 350 million. So right now, you're not paying 350 million for just an empty bus that will not deliver value. That even if you hand it over to a state transport system or ministry, they won't be able to maintain that. Rather, you are now putting the cost of the bus, the cost of delivering a good service, the cost of making sure that at least 300 million you are spending is actual value that went to citizens. So you have incentivized the demand and even the infrastructure, which is the bus itself. On the CNG part, you have also incentivized that the buses, the other side, investors on the other wing, they are bringing in buses that could be used to purchase gas from the stations you are creating. So it's all about being very strategic about it, because if you say you want to do that on your own, the cost is enormous. And when the cost is enormous, you have that lethargy that makes you to take inaction. You just look at the situation. Oh, you don't know what is involved. Do you get? So because government, they know what they should do, but it's just a bit of tweaks, both on the demand side, the infrastructure part, and it's all about playing the incentives together and becoming that binding factor. For example, you have a paper from the federal government that you are guaranteed of this. Investor will have confidence to come into business.
Indeed, you have told us what government is indeed not telling us. The cost of indeed getting even one CNG buses is quite enormous. And of course, I'm sure that is why government is still dragging with regard to, making CNG buses available for us. Now, how can one even identify a CNG powered vehicles?
That's
many of my my friends say I should ask this question.
That's the conundrum here, because what we are saying, all right, is something that I can say on national TV, because that is the truth. You see people that will get the actual CNG kit and they will still charge the same amount as if it is just obviously you are entering a car, nobody is saying, okay, open the boot, let me check whether you have a cylinder there or not. So I feel like, government is trying, but we're not getting the consumerate benefit from all their actions that they are taking, because it's counterproductive. You switch, there's nothing. So the first thing we need to do is, first of all, there should be like a marker, which is the easiest thing. This car is converted to CNG, courtesy of federal government of Nigeria. Therefore, no trip on this bus, on this taxi should be more than this, because that is why government gave out those kits. Because if they end up charging the same amount, then it's tantamount to, you are just making the taxi driver or the operator richer, because obviously he's going to charge the same amount. So if a petrol powered vehicle is charging, let's say from Kubwa to AYA is 500, and I can still charge the same 500, and I'm running on a lower CNGs. So I will make more money, but who am I cheating? I'm actually cheating the government. I'm not delivering that value that the government hopes to get. So first of all, is a clear-cut identification system, and working with making sure that state governors know that one of the things we need to do is to have bus systems running. And a bus system is not meant to be a revenue generating system. rather a value-adding system. That is how it is around the whole world, making sure that bus systems are up in 36 states. 36 states in the country should have bus systems running. And when those bus systems are running, you now have the right to brand them. Because if it's my car, I can say, no, you don't brand my car. It's not because you gave me a keys that you would brand the car. But if the government actually incentivize people to get the buses, like I said before, you can brand it and say, okay, if you can't afford the regular taxi at 500, there's a 200 naira system, fare you can get from the government-powered buses. I'm sure the people in Plateau State that are running on our electronic system, the state governor is trying, and that works. Every day they have almost 10,000, 12,000 passengers with just the 12 buses that the state governor procured. And that's why you see, you feel free to go there and interview people. It's touching lives. Every day they move 15, 12,000 passengers. Those are people that benefit. 200 naira, they have their card system, courtesy of Nairaxi. So, it works. You can see how much revenue they generate compared to the number of trips. So imagine 12 buses moving 12,000 passengers. That's a lot. That's almost indeed. That's more than 10,000 cars that you took off the road.
No,
and people that are getting that value. So that's the only way. Identification system and making sure that bus systems are running. Start from the public transit system first, then you narrow down to private.
Yeah. Now talking about public transit system, now you are very big on digitization of public transit system, and you say doing that is going to reduce the burden on the people. Do you think we have the right infrastructure to achieve that?
Yes, we have the right infrastructure. First thing first, the base or the structure of public transit system. The easiest is buses. Metro system, that one is a bit expensive, but start from your regular buses. Get buses, energy efficient buses that will run on this CNG. First of all, you know that the cost of running those buses will be very low because they are actually CNG buses. If you apply the same principle I mentioned before, you actually did not shell out your money to buy those buses. You had investors that invested, and they are sure that in 3 years, for their 300 million naira bus, they are going to make 350 million at the end by delivering, let's say, 1 million passengers. That's like 350 naira per passenger. So if you make sure that one bus is going to take 1 million passengers, all right, and you had 350 naira as the benchmark for each ride, that's the math there. So you can be done in 2 years, it can be done in 5 years. So an investor knows that money is coming. And what is the guarantee? The government is guaranteeing this, and they can come in to get those buses. So now you have the buses itself. Next thing is about who will actually run the buses, who will plan the route, who is going to plan out to make sure that there's good surveillance system. How are we going to checkmate fraud? How are we going to run it efficiently? That is where companies like our company come in play, because we provide all those tools, fare collection system, surveillance system for buses, route planning, and making sure that things are done efficiently. So you now have a third party that's their job to make things very efficient. Then the state government's transport ministry will now be like, okay, fine, this is where we're deploying the buses. They will now take charge of the policy that will drive those buses. Yes.
Okay, stay talking about the public transportation system. What will you tell Nigerians, especially some privileged ones among us, who believe that public transport system is meant just for the poor people?
I think they are coming from a place of sheer ignorance, because the idea of driving every day is tiresome. Is not a good experience for anybody, except you really, really enjoy driving. So if you go abroad, you take the metro system, you take the bus system, it relieves you of that stress. The bus is clean. The bus is even more expensive than your own car.
Absolutely.
Do you understand? Because when these stuffs are, when you have everything in place, it becomes a clear case of convenience. All right? I'm sure the bus is going to arrive at my destination. I have an app to track the movement. It's along my route. I can just take it. It's going to be clean. It's going to we are going to have less people in the bus. I have a payment system that will make it very efficient for me to just pay without looking for change and the rest of it. So if you take care of all these hurdles, then a bus system becomes for everyone. We have seen Prime Minister of Britain in the UK. He takes the metro system. Some of them, they even ride bicycles, But let's start from the fundamentals first. We will not say, oh, I don't have the bicycle path. Let's build a bicycle path. Oh, we don't have metro line. Let's build. We have roads. We have most of the roads are connected to where most people apply every day. So the bus system is something that if His Excellency President Ahmed Tinubu could achieve, you can say, okay, my subsidy removal, what I achieved in 3 years or in 4 years is that I make sure that there is a valid, there's an efficient, there's bus system that runs in 36 states. You have something you can hold on to. But when we are just saying, oh, we are saving, and people are not seeing the consumerate impact. So even if I choose not to use the bus system because I feel it's for the poor, then it's a choice.
Absolutely.
It's a choice that I made. But at least I know that for people that can't afford what I can afford, they have an alternative means of transportation.
All right. As we wrap up now, what support have you been able to give so far to cushion the effect of hardship on the people?
I think personally, or as a company, as a group, is first of all is this interview is to educate people. Is just to show, okay, it's not like we know better, but maybe you are looking at the same problem, but if you just tilt to one side, you can see a better way you can solve it, which is advocacy. That's the number one. Number two is the technology that we are developing. We are more of a tech company developing solutions that will help move people en masse efficiently and make mobility accessible to everyone. So these are the two things: advocacy and technology development and distribution.
All right. Kingsley Eze, co-founder and CEO of Nairaxi, I must thank you for your time on Business Daily.
Thank you.
It's an interesting conversation we're having. I'm sure a lot of our viewers will be indeed educated with regards to this topic. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your contributions.
Thank you, sir.
All right. With that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogun.